You're locked into Inception Radio Network, Superior, Wisconsin.
You're tuned in to NightVision Radio, exposing the truth, one secret at a time. Prepare yourself as we explore the shadow worlds of suppressed history, secret knowledge, forbidden religion, and shine a light on the conspiracies to keep it all from us. Welcome to NightVision Radio. Hi, everybody. Welcome to NightVision Radio. I'm your host, René Barnett. We've got a great show tonight with our great old friend, Jose Escamilla, the Rod Man himself, who is the discoverer of a strange flying object, or objects, I should say, many of them, that seem to be alive in the skies. And in fact, he's going to tell us what he thinks that they are and what's been happening in his latest rod research. But before we get to my guest, I want to remind everybody to, if you're a music lover and if you know a songwriter, please send them over to returnofthetroubadour.com. There's some great people over there. They're having a songwriting contest, and there's some great prizes. I know that the first prize is like $5,000 in gold coins. So that's a pretty nice little incentive, I would say. And what they're looking for are songs that send a positive message or are uplifting to people, because they feel that that's what's needed in the world, and music is very powerful in that way. So please go to returnofthetroubadour.com, check out the contest details there, and also like them, please, on Facebook. That's Return of the Troubadour. So Jose Escamilla, welcome to NightVision once again.
Hey, Renee, it's good to be on again.
Well, it is. I'm so happy that you agreed to let me twist your arm one more time. And I wanted to get the latest, the skinny, on the rod business. Now, first of all, for anyone who might be listening that doesn't exactly know what a rod is, can you please tell us a little bit about the sort of genesis of this whole thing, how you got started, and what it was that you've discovered? Okay,
well, I was in Roswell, New Mexico in March of 1994.
Of all places.
Yeah, I went to visit my mom and my sister. You know, my brother and I had just got through editing and composing music for our first movie, which was pretty cool. So we went to Roswell just to hang out. And it was on March 5th, 1994, that my sister calls me from Midway, which is where we have a farm 9 miles south of Roswell. And she said, Jose, bring the video camera. There's UFOs out there, you know? So I took my time getting there. I go, yeah, you know, Mom probably wants me to just go over there and eat, you know? And so I took my time getting there. But when I got there, I was expecting, you know, John Williams music and Close Encounter UFOs, you know, that type of stuff flying around. But that's not the way they appear at all. And
So at this time, you really weren't into the UFO subject?
Oh, yeah. I've been into UFOs since I was a kid. I've had UFO sightings since I was like 9 years old.
Oh, so that's why she said, get out here, because she knew you'd be interested away.
Plus, a year before this, she and my daughter Sheila had a UFO encounter right outside their house in Roswell. But anyway, I get there. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, broad daylight, and I'm looking for these UFOs. I go, Becky, I don't see anything. She goes, straight up, you know, straight up above us at high noon, there's this dome-shaped object, and it's just hovering there. So I immediately say, that's a weather balloon, Becky, you know. And then
was this daytime?
Yeah, it's broad daylight, March 5th,
Broad
1994,
daylight.
2 o'clock in the afternoon. Clear blue skies. There were not any clouds at all, you know. So there was this object there, and I said, that's a weather balloon. But as soon as I said that, this UFO just zipped and zipped, you know, away real fast and formed a triangle in the sky, you know, just zipped away that quick. And this maneuver, and I go, well, that's not a weather balloon. So I started filming it. And the camera at that time we were using was an RCA VHS cam. And the highest shutter setting it shot at was at 2000 shutter setting, which was clarity, you know, for the cameras in those days. And so I filmed 16 minutes of UFO activity because the camera battery died. I wasn't prepared. So I took the footage back to Roswell and started looking at it frame by frame. And then I started seeing rods, and I started seeing triangle ships, different kinds of objects, man. There was like about 20 or 30 different shapes and varieties of UFOs that appeared there that day. So the rods thing, they just look like cigar-shaped objects. And I only had a small clip of 2 rods flying above the telephone poles going away. So then on March 19th, I get a call from Becky, and she says, there's UFOs out here again. So this time I was prepared. I had 2 cameras. We had a camera that shot at 1/5000 shutter setting, which is a higher setting. And the reason we use high shutter settings is because that's clarity. When you throw a baseball, you know, at 40 or 50 miles an hour, and you shoot at a high shutter setting when you record at 1/2000 up to 1/5000 shutter setting, and when you play it back frame by frame, you see the baseball. It's not a blurred, elongated object. Whereas if you shoot at the normal or auto setting, that's when objects become elongated and blurred. Okay, thus insect theory that came out. So,
oh, right.
But I clarified that. I said, no, if you shoot using my sky fishing protocol, it eliminates birds, insects, dragonflies, and everything else. And you switch.
Yeah, you coined the term rods, and you also coined the term sky fishing. Right? That was your term.
Exactly, because one day in a certain area they'd be biting. The next day they'd be in a different, you know, area of the sky pond, is what we used to call it. Just like skyfish, you know. So we went skyfish. Yeah. And these things had maneuvers like as if they were swimming through the air. They weren't flying, you know, like birds. They were swimming, using the air as water. And this is why...
Like moving like a fish.
Yeah, like a skyfish.
Yeah.
And so it was an amazing phenomena. And for a while there, I stopped filming because I was getting accused by skeptics that I was hoaxing it, that I was doing it on a computer.
I remember those days.
Oh, yeah. You know, so I said, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get people from all over the country to start filming in their backyards and using my sky fishing protocol. And if there's rod activity in their area, they'll catch them, you know. And sure enough, man, we hit pay dirt because we started getting video footage from all over the country. And then we started getting, as the years went by, we got footage from all over the world of skyfish, you know, and rods. The only crutch that we always had was we never had the right camera equipment, okay? Most of my camera stuff and editing bay had been destroyed during the Northridge earthquake in January of '94, so I didn't have any more equipment. And when the UFOs showed up, I decided to stay in Roswell and continue research on them. And, you know, pretty soon my budget ran out, and I couldn't, I was paying $1,500 a month for internet service.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. And that's
crazy.
And that was piped in from Albuquerque. It's $1,500 a month, René, you know,
that's unbelievable. Now, let me just ask you something real quick because I just heard something that confused me a little bit. Is a skyfish the same thing as a rod?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just a different word.
Yeah. We just call them skyfish because they swim through the air like fish.
They look like, they look like they have like appendages coming out, like a centipede or something like that, almost appearance.
They have more like a membrane across the torso. And this is how come we call them rods, because my girlfriend at that time she was a nurse, and she said, "That looks like a rod." And I go, "What's a rod?" She says, "In a medical dictionary, Tabor's medical dictionary, look up the word rod, and it's a bacteria that's cigar shaped and has a membrane across
like
both sides of
a
the
microscopic. You'd have to look at a microscopic image of that.
and
They're very tiny, as opposed to
like a
these
rod.
have to be quite large, don't they?
Yeah. The cameras are like a macroscope. Okay, it allows us to see things that without the use of the camera we wouldn't be able to see with the naked eye, because these things are so doggone fast. And a microscope allows us to see the world of the very small. So now the things that we always wanted was a high-speed camera setup to where we could film the rods at 1 or 2 or 3,000 frames per second, which is much different than shutter setting. When you shoot something at 1,000 frames per second, you can slow it down enough. A bullet, for example, you can see it pristine when you see it frame by frame. And also shooting at high speed like that, it totally eliminates birds, insects, and anything else that's flying through the scene when you shoot at high speed. Okay? Well, because of the advent of digital camcorders and then digital cameras and now the new cameras that are out that allow you to film, and they're affordable, we now have the smoking gun that we've always looked for, a rod shot at the highest speed, at high speed. And we have one shot in the UK during the making of a wingsuit jumping thing that, what's the name of the Red Bull? Red Bull made this TV special. And there's a guy falling at 148 miles an hour. He's filmed at 1,000 frames per second, super slow motion. Okay? Super slow motion. And he's coming pretty slow from high atop this mountain. They're filming upward. And he's barely traveling when a rod flies through the scene faster than anything in there. And so, and it's not a bird, it's not an insect, it's a rod, because at 1,000 frames per second, there's no mistaking it. It eliminates everything else.
Right.
And the best news we have is we now have another rod shot using the red cam. Now, I don't know if you know about cameras, but the red cam is like the highest resolution, 4K resolution. I mean, it's like, it's the most clear photography you can make. They're making major motion pictures with this cam.
Yes, they are.
Resolution, yeah. Well, we now have a rod shot with the red cam at 2,000 frames per second, I believe it was. And guess what? It's a rod. And it's shot at 24p, 24 frames per second, but at the speed of 1,000 frames per second, but 24p. And it's not interlaced video. It's straight frame by frame action. So when we slowed down this rod, man, it proves without a doubt that rods are real. Okay.
And is that image up on your site anywhere?
No, the guy that filmed it is asking $25,000 for the footage.
Oh.
This is because it's the first UFO ever filmed with the red cam in highest resolution in the world. Okay. He called it a UFO until he found out it was a rod. But he's willing to license it to me for my film, They Live in the Skies, for $2,500, 10% of what he's asking. But he'll license it to it so I can include it in my movie, They Live in the Skies, which is going to be coming out as soon as I get the budget to do it. I'm gonna do the Ultimate Rods film, and it's going to have this incredible footage that totally eliminates everything.
And the name of it is They Live in the Skies.
Yeah.
Which basically says that you believe that these are some kind of living organism or something.
It is a species of some kind. It has all the behavior of a living creature of some kind. It's intelligent too, because we have footage of a base jumper falling into this cave in Mexico, and a rod comes right at him, and then immediately does a U-turn, avoiding a collision. So they're quick thinking creatures, or whatever they are. We also have footage of a rod on Mars. Actually, I have about 6 photos of rods on Mars, and the latest one is actual movie footage because it was shot into the ground, or it's shot into the other side of the valley, but a huge rod flies right into the scene. And it's definitely a rod. You can't mistake it for anything else. So these things have the ability to traverse our skies. We have footage of them taken by the shuttles, and also by the ISS, International Space Station, and high resolution, you know. And then we also have Sean Guttrow's infrared footage of rods. And he has...
Oh, that's right. Sean was on the show a couple weeks back.
I know, and I missed
and we
it.
saw some of his images.
Yeah, well, he's got squadrons.
Yeah.
Squadron footage of these things. And in the infrared, what's cool about him, about Sean, is that he's very smart. He filmed everything in the infrared in daytime, okay? He filmed insects, so we can see what their flight signature is in the infrared. He filmed dragonflies. You can clearly see the dragonfly. We filmed birds. You can clearly distinguish what a bird looks like. But then when he filmed rods, they had their own signature too in the infrared footage. And a rod is a rod, an insect is an insect, a bird is a bird, a dragonfly is a dragonfly. And that's what I've always maintained. When you film at the high shutter settings, and now that we have these high speed shots of rods, totally eliminates everything that critics would call insects, misfilmed insects. So we're very...
And other than the fact that they sort of look like they're swimming like fish, you know, what are some of the behaviors that make you think, I mean, other than the sort of the membrane look that they have, makes you think that they might be some living thing? Like in the chat room, they're talking about it, and Neutron was saying, you know, have you ever witnessed them hovering still, you know, holding, or are they always in movement?
Well, we have footage. This is going to be in the film. This is why I can't wait to make They Live in the Skies, because we have footage of a rod not flying left to right, or right to left, or up or down. It's flying down on its side. Okay, it's the rod, but it's going downward. You know, falling straight down, and that's the first time we've ever filmed a rod like that. You know, so another thing too, we have footage of rods underwater, and I think I have. Let me see if I have on YouTube. I think I have on YouTube a promo of They Live in the Skies, and you can see some of this footage, except with the exception.
Yeah, I think it is on there. I saw that, I think, and you know, like their behaviors. Have you noticed any other patterns? And Bill from New York in the chat room brought up a really good question about, you know, are the rods do they seem to be attracted to any energy sources, whether it be power lines or lightning or nuclear power plants or something of that nature? Have you noticed that they hang around a certain type of area?
Well, you know, when we first started investigating the phenomenon, and we did everything, René, we covered every base because we wanted to find out what it was that attracted them, okay? Possibility of what they were eating, you know? So we found a lot of rod activity above power lines, okay? We also found a lot of rod activity where people are doing sports, you know, like skydivers, man. You know, we have footage of rods at 10, 15,000 feet that are zipping right around parachutists, you know? Yeah, there's a promo up there. And we also have rods of, you know, footage of rods underwater. The underwater stuff is amazing. And I think I have, I think this is it. Hang on, let me just double check here. I think this is it.
You know, I've seen other shows or, you know, footage I remember there was a National Geographic special one time where they caught rods in the images. That's happened a lot of times. even
Yeah,
in movies.
and it
You know
usually
that.
happens. It happens by accident that these people
Oh,
are
completely by accident.
passing
Yeah.
stuff. And you know what's amazing is the feeling of something that just flew over you. Something that just flew over you, and you filmed it, and it's an extraordinary thing. You know, so
Hmm.
it's like it's just an incredible feeling when you get this. It's a euphoric feeling.
Now, have you seen these with the naked eye?
I see them all the time. I see them all the time with the naked eye. I got to
Is
where,
that because now you have a trained eye?
well, yeah, I've accepted the fact that they are there. They are real. You know,
Hmm.
um, it's like um, it's like when Columbus landed in these islands. And the natives didn't see these giant ships that they came in, but they did see them when they come in on canoes. They saw Columbus and his troops. So because they weren't used to seeing these giant ships, that they came across the ocean in, all they saw was the men as they appeared in canoes. That's one thing that they realized is real to them is a canoe. So it's the same thing with rods. Until you see, acknowledge the fact that these things are real and they are there, and you get used to seeing the footage. Jim Peters was one of my biggest critics for Colorado MUFON back in the
Hmm.
days. He came in 1995, and he spent time. He thought they were just misfilmed insects from the get go. So he came, sat down next to me, and he watched every clip that I had at that time, and he started seeing the difference between an insect's flight, a bird, and a rod. There's a distinct shape, that the way they fly. You can tell. You can tell one from the other. So yeah, people can see them with the naked eye, and there's probably a lot of people that have seen them. If you've ever seen anything, either a white flash, either in front of your face or in your eye peripheral, or a dark, something dark that passed by real quick, and you look and there's nothing there, that was probably a rod. That's
Hmm.
how that's how you see them with the naked eye.
Mm,
And super
and
fast.
are there an abundance of them out there?
They're everywhere. Yeah, some areas they're scarce, and other areas they are definitely there. You can see the rods promo minus the high speed footage and all that, and you can see the underwater footage of the rod with Eli Martinez explaining it. He's a guy that does shark studies, and he filmed this rod. You can plainly see the rod underwater. There's also the rod flies downward. You can see the Fox TV rod, which is an interesting shot. It's a very interesting shot. So I've got stuff on my YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com/Jose Escamilla, and then click on the videos section, and you've got all sorts of footage there.
Oh, cool. Well, you know, there are some particular locations I know where you've kind of found there was kind of like a hotbed of rod activity, and yeah, we've got enough time before the break to go into it. But what about, remember that cave in Mexico? And I saw, I think I posted a picture, an image, a still image on my Facebook page from it today, and there were just all kinds of rods. Now, I know that you ended up filming a special on rods for Fox, which did not air in the United States, but aired elsewhere around the world.
Yeah, and
It,
Fox never paid me. Those suckers never paid me because
I
it didn't
feel
air
so
in the
bad
States.
about that. There's
Yeah.
a story, but we have a story behind that, don't we, Jose?
Yes, we.
Because I had a production company at that time. Gosh, what year was that anyway? Like
Circa 2000.
2000, okay. And I had a production company with another producer colleague and great friend of both of ours, Danny Wolf. And we were working with you, and we went to Fox and we pitched the idea
Yeah.
of this show. Well, the gentleman who was the executive at that time later decided he wanted to do the show, but he awarded it to another bigger, more powerful production company. But Jose, I'll never forget this as long as I live, and neither will Danny. you refused to do business with them unless Danny and I agreed and unless they paid Danny and I.
Exactly.
And the irony of that is that they did pay Danny and I. You went on and did it, and then you didn't get paid. That's terrible.
Go figure, man. That's
I
Hollywood.
didn't realize they never paid you. Oh, that's terrible.
Well, the reason, and the thing is they wanted that Rod special so bad. The problem was, I paid like $28,000 for a full page spread on Video Magazine. The video magazine that goes out to all the video stores across the country. I bought the back page. There it was, Rods airing on Fox TV. I think it was going to be. It was during the fall, the sweeps.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we even had a date slated. But what happened was 9/11 happened, and that shut down everything, man. My TV special.
Oh gosh, I remember that everything in town here in Hollywood production shut down. People stopped buying programs, networks, because they did not know what people would want to see. They did not know, what kind of programs that people would be in the mood for, because the whole country was just devastated and in mourning. And for those of us, struggling TV people out here, it was a horrible time. And in fact, that's exactly what brought the demise of that first production company of mine with Danny, is because we had quit our jobs and set up our company. We had sold 3 shows, and then suddenly every one of them fell out.
Yeah,
and we didn't end up doing one of them.
And it was 9/11 that killed my special. The special that we did, it was with National Entertainment, and a good friend of mine was the director of the show. He's the one that had me on hard copy like 6 times. John Moffat, a good friend of mine. He's a great guy. So, the special was done, and the agreement was I would get paid once it aired in the U.S. Well, it never aired in the U.S., and I can thank my attorney, my entertainment attorney, for not figuring it out, but it aired all over the world except the U.S., okay?
Yeah.
And they said...
go ahead.
We don't have to pay you until it airs in the U.S. They'll be more than glad to pay you. So that's what happened. So now it's all over YouTube, and forget about it, but it was amazing. And, it
really was. Now, remind me about that, because did they end up rappelling down into that cave in Mexico on that special?
Not on that special. No.
Because that's what, remember, that was our plan to do that. And so, so that amazing cave footage was not from a Fox crew going down and...
No, but some of the footage that was used, when you look on my YouTube channel, check out the Fox TV rod. That footage was shot years earlier. And this rod flies right underneath. The rod is flying straight down, as with the base jumper, terminal velocity about 98 miles an hour. They're both flying straight down, the rod on its side. And then the rod also passes underneath the stomach of the guy and makes a U-turn and goes back where it come from. So that's another possible thing. But the Japanese, I did a rod special with all the 3 major networks in Japan: Nippon, Fuji, I think it is, and I keep forgetting the other one, Asahi TV. And they're the ones that took me to the Cave of the Swallows, and we did rappel. I didn't rappel, but they had guys that went down to the bottom of the pit, which is like large enough where you can fit the Empire State Building. That's how deep this pit is.
Wow.
And they captured some incredible rod footage, too. And they had...
That sounds like Mel's Hole.
Yeah, but this
remember Mel's Hole from the old Art Bell?
Exactly, I remember that, but this one has a bottom to it.
Oh, okay. You didn't
Hole,
lose any dogs or refrigerators down there.
But there's a lot of things coming up with the rods phenomena that's just going to be a paradigm changing event when this film is released, because it leaves without a doubt the fact that rods are real. This is an unknown object of some kind that has been among us for perhaps thousands of years, and that is pervasive enough to go unnoticed right under our noses, man. And the military has captured footage of them. They've absconded footage. I mean, Fox TV network out of Albany, New York. Back in the day, they were filming this airplane taking off from the airport. You know how they do the weather thing, report, and they give a live feed. Well, this guy captured a rod flying right over a no-fly zone. So the FBI.
You know what, Jose? We're going to have to take a quick break here, and we'll continue this story and more when we get back in just a moment after these words.
Okay.
Hi, Bob Tarmac for MJ'sHealthyWay.com. Are you into vitamins, nutrition, meal replacements, health shakes, keeping your body in good shape, your internal engine going? Boy, do I have a perfect place for you. MJ'sHealthyWay.com. They offer the best service and products, and they'll tell you anything you need to know about any product they have to offer. I get all my vitamins, meal replacements, shakes from MJ'sHealthyWay.com. That's spelled MJSHealthyWay.com. There's so much more at the website. Go check it out. MJ'sHealthyWay.com.
You didn't forget what's coming up tonight, did you? Hi, Inception Radio Network listeners. This is Amanda. Never miss that interview you were looking forward to or the show on your favorite topic. Follow IRN on Twitter, I_R_N, and get reminders about the evening's live shows as well as fun and important updates throughout the week. That's I_R_N, and never miss a great show again.
Don't have a computer? Is your internet connection down? Don't worry. Use your trusty cell phone or landline and call into our listen line at 401-283-6700 to listen to the Inception Radio Network 24/7. Again, that call-in number is 401-283-6700. For the Inception Radio Network, I am MJ.
Do you have a smartphone? If so, Inception Radio Network is the best app for you. Available on iTunes, Android, Samsung, and most other app stores. Just search Inception Radio Network. With the app, you can listen live, check out podcasts of recent and past shows, view our videos, see what shows are coming up, who the guests are, and, via the chat room, send live questions to those guests. You know it makes sense. Check your app store now. Inception Radio Network. I'll see you there.
Hey, IRN listeners, make sure you tune in to NightVision Radio with René Barnett. René will be exposing the truth one secret at a time. When? Thursdays. Every Thursday, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific. Where? Right here on IRN.
You're locked into Inception Radio Network, Superior, Wisconsin.
Welcome back. You're listening to Night Vision Radio on InceptionRadioNetwork.com. We're talking with Jose Escamilla, his amazing discovery that he made, gosh, it's been decades ago now, and his research into the creature or the flying object known as rods continues to this day, and more and more evidence is mounting as technology catches up with these high flying critters, I guess. So so the best footage in your mind to date on the rods is the this latest high definition footage in that Red Bull commercial, or on the Red camera?
Yeah, the Red Bull, but then the Red Cam. The Red Cam is the best because it totally eliminates everything else. You know, there's some people there that are saying, hey, rods were debunked 20 years ago. No, they weren't. They were just not presented the real way, you know. And
well, I mean, in it, you know, doesn't matter. Whenever you come out with something, there'll always be people that are saying no, you know, before all the evidence is out. So there's always going to be debunking going on. Just because something is debunked, you know, doesn't mean it's not true.
Yeah.
Because you know, no one's sufficient. I mean, you know, no one's sufficiently proven that, you know, it doesn't exist, or that it's not something other than insects flying around. You know, in the chat room, people have been buzzing, and one of the things I think it was Bill was saying, do you think that orbs, you know, that we capture orbs in photographs? On my house is full of orbs. You got to come and see it, Jose. And do you think that they could be living things, or what do you think orbs are? Or is there any relation to something like that in what you're talking about?
I have 4 people that I've been in contact with for the last 15 years, and I've always wanted to make an orb movie. Okay, I guess I was just waiting for the technology to catch up to what's going on, and man, there was this lady over in Santa Barbara that was capturing some of the most incredible orb footage. I mean, awesome shots. I want to come over to your place and see what you got, you know. I have a special way that we're going to film these. Everything that is dealing with orbs has been still photography, you know, with a flash, you know. I want to capture orbs using the flash, maybe a strobe, but timing it with a camera. Every time a flash occurs, it continues as filming a film. So this way we can catch them in actual flight and see what the flight characteristics.
Jose, come over, because I'm telling you, I've got tons of orbs in flight on video. And in fact, there's some posted on YouTube that someone took at my house. I think they're on YouTube under Rebecca Fearing's Amazing Orbs, Fearing. And in fact, she filmed some of them while she was doing a live radio show from my home office. And then there's others where just around the house. But there's some amazing, and I've got tons of it. Tons of it.
We'll have to get together.
This place is a hotbed of activity.
Well, you know, as they say, if you got activity there, once you see one, you'll see more. So, you know, I just want to get the right camera equipment, the right camera setup, so that we can really do an in-depth scientific type study, okay, that eliminates everything else, all the BS that's out there, you know, because there's a lot of debunkers and skeptics out there that say, oh, it's not, they're probably popping a towel, and it's all dust particles. That's what causes that, you know. Well, we're going to do that, but we're going to use it using the sky fishing protocol that I've developed that eliminates everything, you know. So what you see is what you really get, and that's where the truth comes out. You say, all right, if you say it's this, then we'll try that, but we're going to do this. Definitely, I want to do the major orb movie. I want to do the ultimate orb movie, just like rods and UFOs. I want to do orbs, man. So that's one of my planned projects.
Oh, somebody popped it up into the chat room, the footage, one of the bits of footage from my house.
Oh, really? Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. So you'll have to check it out. Not right now. Let's talk about your stuff. But what was do you have an opinion right now on orbs? Whether they're sentient creatures, living beings?
You know, I've met with Native American medicine men and women. Okay, and what the elders tell is that orbs are spirit forms. Now, either they are earthly spirits, like part of the consciousness of Mother Earth,
Right.
or they are human spirits. But how do you prove that? That's the only thing, is when you start talking about the spirit world or the ghosts or the paranormal phenomenon as ghosts. I mean, how do you present that? The best way to present it scientifically is to film it and eliminate everything else that's under the sun, And if they are human spirits, then, wow, we have a crowded backyard, don't we?
Yeah.
So
amazing. I've noticed one thing about that idea that they might be living or sentient or something. Because I notice as we film those things, the longer we film, the more there are. It's like you'll start filming and then you'll wait a few seconds and one will flash by. And then another one, and then another one. And then, the longer you go, sometimes they're just, the air's, just full of them. It's unbelievable. And I had the same thing happen to me when I was in France a couple of years ago. And we were staying in a villa, and in my bedroom, I was messing around with my camera. And when I put on the flash, I could see through the viewfinder thing that things started going by. And then I finally got up and called somebody in my room, and he was a big debunker. And he comes in and goes, I said, please just explain to me what this is. Please tell me. Is it bugs? What is it? And so he started going, oh my God. And he stayed in there like for 2 hours. We were just filming stuff, and I would film him standing in the corner, and they would be flying around him. And one just started orbiting around his waist, going around and around his waist. And then I got in the corner, and one big one came right out of my head. He said it just went like bloop and was as big as my head. And I got a lot of them on still images then, but not nearly as many as I was seeing through the camera. And I didn't get any moving images until I came here. And I just had a funny feeling that there might be something here. And we'd heard things, walking around in the attic and things like that late at night. And didn't feel scary. It just felt like somebody was here. And so I started looking, and then suddenly it was just crazy. And then we had a party one night, and everybody brought their cameras, and we all got them.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
We'll definitely have to do that, because I do want to produce this film. Also, I received orb photography from out of Hong Kong. Okay. And there was a guy living in a skyscraper, and these orbs were incredibly different than anything I've ever seen. They had spikes on them. They were orbs, and they had like faces and things in the center of them, but they had spikes. They were like these prickly pears, or what do you call those round prickly things, man, that have spikes coming out of the whole perimeter of these round things. And the curious thing is that this guy was like on the 14th, 15th floor of his skyscraper, and there were other skyscrapers, but there were buildings and units of people living in these high skyscrapers. One of these orbs was big, and its reflection appeared on one of the windows of one of the skyscrapers. So it was definitely something that had mass. It was something that definitely was self-illuminating, okay? It was definitely not a dust particle, because it was far enough away that it shined itself on to the windows of the skyscraper it was next to, which was about maybe 2 city blocks away. So this is the kind of stuff that I'm looking for. I want to get stuff that is undeniable as to what it is or it is not, And
Right.
Nothing is proven until you can get enough evidence that says, all right, you repeat this and repeat this, this is what it is. Okay? However, one of the parts that I had the problems with the rods is that a lot of the people were filming moths and insects purposefully using the low shutter setting. Okay? And a good example is Monster Quest. I did this show with Monster Quest. They promised me they were going to do justice to the rods. They were definitely going to show all the evidence. Well, what they did, and I've got a video out there with Joe Rogan in it. It's called Jose Escamilla versus Monster Quest. And this is the show that multitudes of people saw it and they believed it, that rods are nothing but insects. I mean, I got my life threatened because people saw this show, okay? When they deliberately eliminated doing a broad daylight shooting of rods, you have to see this. Jose Escamilla versus Monster Quest. Okay,
look at that.
That's how Monster Quest screwed me. All right, and now payback is going to be a bitch. Believe me, because now I've got the footage that's going to blow their asses out of the water. And they
settle down now.
Hey, payback, like I say, payback's a bitch.
Jose, this could get syndicated, and you're going to get me censored.
Oh, come on. That's not a cuss word, is it?
Oh, it's not. Oh, that's right. We were talking about dogs, right?
Yeah, there's out there.
That was a creepy thing, for them to do. That,
It was, and they glossed over everything. The space footage, they said that's probably debris. They eliminated. They didn't go into detail about checking it out, man. There was rods flying in space, and they said that's probably debris. The underwater rod footage, they said probably a fish. I mean, that's the way they eliminated it. The rod coming out of the tornado winds. They said there's probably debris. I mean, that's how they washed over all the important footage, that if they had focused on it, it would have eliminated any insect theory. And if they would have done, I mean, I sent them footage of rod models that were made by the guys over at MIT. They did not include it. Instead, they showed the stupid rod thing in a wind tunnel, it will never fly. But here we have models of rods type propulsion that works. I mean, that's what they did. Anyway, I know I am griping about it, but it's just a travesty what they did about the rods. But like I say, payback is coming back, man.
Look out.
Now I have the footage that's just going to totally make them look like the creeps that they are. So, anyway.
Look out. The rod man cometh.
Hey, the rod man ain't never... Somebody in the chat room asked, how come I've kept with the research? Because I know they're real. I've seen them with the naked eye, man. I've seen these right there in front of me, And then I felt... I mean, and using the best technology that I had at the time, and now that I've got the technology that... the red cam... You cannot lie to the people with the red cam. That camera is the highest resolution camera at 2,000 frames per second. Forget it, man. You can stop a bullet.
Do you have a copy of that at home, like a watermark copy or something?
I'll send it to you, Renee. I'll let you see it. I'd
love to see it.
I just can't show it to the public. That's the promise I made to the guy. Otherwise, he will get very angry.
And if you get in trouble sending it to me, I'll just come by and look at it at your place. So.
No, I'll send it to you as long as it doesn't wind up on YouTube or something. That's the only thing. It's just that it's not available to the public until I pay for the license.
That's right.
Then I can do anything.
We don't want to get in legal trouble.
Yeah, so it's important footage enough that proves rods are real, and I don't want to kibosh it, So.
Yeah. What, aside from the rods, which I know that, that's your thing, that's your passion, almost obsession with this research. But, you've captured footage of other flying things, other objects. You've certainly seen a lot of footage. People have sent you lots of footage. Once you became known, you sort of became a magnet for UFO videos. And so you've seen a lot of videos, a lot of evidence. What to you has been the best piece of evidence that you have seen personally that says, absolutely, we are being visited?
I would have to say, is the UFO.
Because the rods could actually be, natural to this place.
Well, before I answer this new question you asked me, let me show you something. Do you remember the Gulf Breeze sightings?
Yes.
Okay. Now, there's a shot of a metallic orb, a metallic round sphere that's hovering, near this eave of this roof in Gulf Breeze. And then suddenly this thing just blips out of frame. Okay? Now what happens is, here's the irony of the whole thing. What happens is it's a metallic looking thing. Then it turns, you know how mercury turns into a glob? If you put it on a mirror, it's just, it's very liquidy. Well, this thing takes off and all of a sudden it stretches sort of like a silver metallic thing. But then in the next frame, guess what it looks like? It looks like a rod.
Oh, now that's weird.
Yeah, so for all we know, but then again, I take it back because I have footage now of a rod falling straight down on its side. Not left to right, but just falling straight down. And that's on my YouTube channel. You can see it. Rod falls downward. But it's just a curious thing that this orb, this metallic sphere, would speed away so fast that it would give the illusion of it being a black rod with appendages. And that happens in one frame of footage. And I'm going to include that in They Live in the Skies because it's an important piece of research, evidence that kind of, qualifies us to say, look, this could be an entirely different thing, So it's just amazing what we've found. But in answer to your question, the most impressive footage I have ever seen is footage that we captured at Midway. And this was, I believe, in November of 1994. It's a helicopter, a black rotorless helicopter that is coming from where the airbase used to be. It's coming directly towards us. Suddenly, it turns into a metallic sphere. Okay, a metallic dome, silver metallic dome. Then it goes back to a black helicopter without rotors. Okay, then it turns back into a silver dome. Then it morphs into a round sphere, bright light, as bright as the sun. Then it flies right over a property, and now it becomes a white orb like we're used to seeing high in the sky. And that to me was the most impressive because it was a black helicopter that morphed into 3 different shapes.
Now, I've seen that footage at your house.
Have you seen that footage?
Yes, I have, at your place. Now, do you think the fact that it morphs in and out of being a black helicopter is an indication that it could possibly be advanced technology built on Earth?
Well,
or do you think it's just aliens being smart enough to disguise themselves as something from Earth?
Well, first of all, the action that is happening, we also have a round sphere that's leaving a contrail, okay? But it's a round object. This is activity happening over Roswell, New Mexico, the epicenter of UFO activity. And if they are testing advanced technology, it's happening there in Roswell because we got the footage to support that.
Yeah.
We have footage of a F-15 that flew right over the property, real low, maybe about 300 or 400 feet above the property. And 17 seconds later, a basketball-sized metallic orb follows the jet. So it's like there's stuff going on out there, and it's happening every day. It's still happening today. So I do think that maybe we're seeing technology, advanced technology that has been back engineered that we have our hands on. But I can guarantee you, some of the stuff that I saw out there was not ours. It was definitely something else. I mean, I saw the best of all worlds, man. And it's happening every day.
If you say that with such confidence that it wasn't ours, how can you be so sure?
You can tell. It's like with everything else. When you see a jet, well, you can tell that it's made by us. But when you see something that is gaseous in form, like it's like a cloud, translucent, and it morphs into different shapes right before your eyes, and it's not metallic. It's like a gas. It's definitely something else. Unless we have that kind of technology that we've, that we've developed, but I don't think so. It's definitely different.
Yeah.
And there's a guy named Durhoff asking if I've submitted stuff to Bruce Maccabee. Yeah, he has a lot of my stuff.
Yeah.
He did shows with me on hard copy sightings. Maccabee is a great guy. I hope he's doing good. I heard he was sick.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah, I really
not sure about that.
He's a very special person, man. He's an analyst that brings it down. He brings the scientific equations, man. I don't know how he does it, but I hope he stays with us a lot longer.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Definitely
we'll wish him the absolute best.
Definitely send him the rod stuff. Also, Dr. Jack Casher. Now, Dr. Jack Casher.
Oh yeah.
Remember him? He was the one that did the whole STS-45 or STS-48 footage. Where the UFO flies by and then takes a U-turn and something shoots at it. Okay, he's the one that did the physics behind that footage, and he's another.
That's the one that they discussed on STS-48.
STS-48.
They discussed on Larry King when Don Ecker was on, and I forgot who the debunker was. He was a well-known UFO debunker at the time. Yeah. But I remember that footage caused quite a stir back then.
Yeah, and
saying it was sloughing off urine or something, waste, and we're going ice. It's icy urine flying around and doing a U-turn.
It was urine, and that's it. The tanks, but what they failed to do. See, a lot of the people don't realize is a lot of that footage was shot in ultraviolet light spectrum. So a lot of that footage was invisible. Okay, and it was in the ultraviolet and infrared. So that's what they don't explain. The debunkers don't even go there because that would eliminate their urine crap, So a lot of stuff was shot with ultraviolet and infrared cams, which record things that are only in the invisible infrared zone, light spectrum. So, there's a lot of...
Which would be any, super fast-moving object?
Well, not necessarily.
Is that why they're not visible? Because they're moving too fast, or?
No, they're in a different light spectrum.
I see.
Okay, that's why infrared films things only in the infrared light spectrum. If you were to put an infrared lens on your glasses, and you start seeing things in the infrared, then you remove the glasses and you see clear blue sky. You understand? I mean, that's the whole difference.
Mm-hmm.
There are things that are occurring. Trevor James Constable is the godfather of the infrared filming. And he found that there were invisible UFOs hanging out in the infrared zone, like in the infrared light spectrum. And these were gigantic UFOs. It was incredible. So it was amazing, man. And, a lot of this stuff that has been out on the NASA footage, Martin Stubbs was the guy that came out with it. He actually downloaded all of the live feeds from NASA, and He and I are old friends, and you know, this is a lot of the stuff that I got.
Is this the guy in Canada that you're talking about?
Yeah, in Vancouver.
Yeah, because RW in the chat room was just asking about that. But you know what? You're going to have to answer me when you come back, or answer RW when we get back, and because we've got to take another quick break. So please stay tuned. We're talking with Jose Escamilla, and we'll be right back. Well, thanks for sticking with us through the break. And if you're just tuning in, we are Night Vision Radio. I'm your host, René Barnett, and we're talking with UFO researcher, filmmaker, Jose Escamilla, the discoverer of the creature, the flying objects called rods. So, Jose, somebody asked a question a while back. I'm almost positive it was Neutron in the chat room that said that, you know, you filmed these rods going into the water. Has anybody ever filmed any going through a solid object?
You know, we used to think that they were able to, you know, go into the ground through people's heads and things, you know. No, I think they're going so fast that it appears to be that they go through solid objects. However, got to take it back. There is footage that I have where they seem to phase in and out of the sky. What I mean is, you can see a white rod come out of nowhere, and then it phases out into the blue sky. Then it appears back in. It's just kind of weird. By the way, Wilbur Allen. Have you ever heard of Wilbur Allen, Renee?
Oh, absolutely. I've had him on my show.
Man, he's got some of the most amazing rods footage flying right over Washington airspace, Washington, D.C., right over our capital, the no-fly zone. Here he's got squadrons of rods. He's got incredible rod shots, and you can tell that they're coming in and out of nowhere. They were probably flying in through a portal, you know?
Yeah, somebody in the chat room just said,
Jim Bob, he says portals.
Yep, he says portals. Now, I've had Will Allen on the show, and obviously, you have gotten lots and lots of footage of your own of UFOs and rods, unidentified flying objects. Do you think, what is it about some people that seem to be able to be the ones that capture a lot of footage? I mean, there's a lot of people, I think, that get something random, every now and then they're taking a picture of the kid, and, when they get the film back, it's, or the way it used to be, or when they look at the photograph, they see something in the sky behind the kid or something like that. But then, that's all, it never happens again. But there are certain people who seem to be able to capture lots and lots of things in the sky. And why do you think that is?
Because these people pay attention. I've always maintained, if CNN was to do a 24-hour broadcast reporting UFO reports, okay? For 24 hours, they said, okay, there's been a UFO sighting here, UFO sighting there, blah, 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 blah. We would seem to have been invaded. That's how much activity happens every day and every night around the world. So it's like, oh, God. Jim Bob's funny.
Just don't look at the chat room, because you'll get distracted like I do every week. They're getting wild in there tonight.
That's some fun stuff there.
I'm telling you, listeners, you should join the chat room at InceptionRadioNetwork.com, because they get pretty rowdy in there.
There's some funny stuff going on there. But yeah, if CNN was to do a 24-hour broadcast just on UFO activity, it would seem like we're being invaded, because that's how much stuff is happening every day. And, people that are out there with digital cams that are filming weddings or, filming whatever, skyscrapers and such, they happen to capture something, is because they're filming at the right place at the right time. And I tell people, hey, once you see one rod, you'll see more. Once you see an orb, there will be more. Once you see a UFO, there will be more. So that means there's activity going on among us. And it's all there. Just like you, Renee. You say you've got orb activity at your house.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a hotbed going there. We just need to get over there. And I'm definitely coming over, I promise. I'm going to come over there with a...
Yeah. I would like to see how, what we can capture, because frankly, the filming that we've done here has all been on our cell phones. Now, what's really weird is it seems to work best with Blackberries. I had a Blackberry, and it was time for me to get a new phone. And because of the orb footage we were getting on the Blackberries, I got another one. I got the Blackberry Q10, which is kind of a new one, and I think it's already probably discontinued. I don't think it's going to last very long. But I get great orb footage on that, but I would like to see with night vision, with, other ways of filming, other ways of lighting, if we could get it on, a better camera. I mean, we've got some pretty good footage for these little cameras, but, what we did was, when we had the party, people stood in a line in my dining room and shot toward my living room. So we were each standing side by side. And we all got orbs, but the two of us that had Blackberries got the best and the most. And somebody had an iPhone, somebody had some kind of Android, and I forgot what the other one had. But there was like 5 of us standing there, all shooting at the same thing. And it was amazing what showed up on the Blackberry. Now, I don't know why that would be. But
this is why.
Oh, we have a good question here from the chat room. Not that the other ones haven't been good. They've all been brilliant, of course. But Durr says, Renee, does Jose know if any government agency is researching this phenomenon? And does MUFON take an interest in this?
Well, I know definitely that there are government agencies that are into it. I mean, that's what they do,
Mm-hmm.
That's why they create groups that are out there debunking us and, causing havoc. But absolutely, man. I mean, I don't see that there would not be a government agency out there that is not interested in this stuff, because the stuff is happening. It's there, So I definitely think that there's some agency. I wouldn't even begin to think where to start, but definitely government.
Now, when you first started shooting, because somebody back a ways back in the chat room, and I apologize, I don't remember now who asked the question, but wondered whether any rods had been shot on other than digital video. So when you first started getting rods, you weren't using digital, right?
No, we didn't have that technology back then. We were using regular linear videotape, man. However, the way we got around the errors, and I see what the
was it like beta SP beta?
We had VHS and Super VHS.
Oh, right.
Cams. I didn't have any beta cameras because they were all destroyed during the earthquake. But I know what they're driving at, and that's why the big difference is now that we have the technology has finally arrived that works. It has finally arrived. The red cam. There's the Canon cameras, man. I mean, they're amazing. I mean, we can shoot up to 60 frames on a regular camcorder. Then you've got the red one, man. My gosh, I mean, what more do you want? This is it. We now have the technology that's finally caught up to where we can film anomalies in the skies, underwater, in space, and infrared and night vision. I mean,
I see that question from Bill in New York, who says, ask Jose if infrared or night vision allows for more viewing of these rods. I certainly know infrared would, right?
Well, infrared and night vision shot in broad daylight allows you to see UFOs, rods, and other things that are up there. And that's
you
why
use your night vision in daylight.
Yes.
Wow.
What happened was back in 1999, I believe, or 98, 96, somewhere around there, Sony cameras recalled millions of their camcorders because they were allowing people to see things and film things they were not supposed to see. They were filming ghosts. They were filming invisible people, shadows, UFOs in the infrared spectrum, in the night vision spectrum, the night shot, and they were not supposed to. So they recalled all these cameras. The reason being is that there was an error technologically that allowed people to see things and film things they weren't supposed to see. So that's what's happened is somebody found out that, look, if you remove a certain obstacle that Sony inserts into the camcorders, you will be able to use night vision in broad daylight and see things you're not supposed to see. So that's what the technology is today. And a perfect example is Sean Goodrow, my friend in New Orleans. He's the man.
Nolans.
Guy.
That's Nolans.
Nolans. He's the guy.
Goodrow, Sean.
Yeah, he says they blamed the bathing suit excuse because people were filming people's through people's clothes, like X-ray vision, you know. And so
yes, I remember that.
Yeah, well, these cameras were taken off the market specifically because it was allowing people to see things they're not supposed to see. And believe me, it was more than naked bodies. They were seeing ghosts, they were seeing UFOs and other entities in these cameras. So Nolans, there you go, Nolans.
Yeah.
So Sean, I'm sorry I didn't make it that day, man, when you were on. Man. Anyway, but this has been a really good night. A good night for us, man.
Yeah. Good. You know what? We're down to like the final 15 minutes of the show, and we haven't even gotten to the moon structures yet. So let's talk about some of your moon photography and how what you found on the moon.
Well, when I did UFO, the greatest story ever denied, I did a section on the moon, you know, and the astronauts seeing UFOs and that kind of stuff. And I come to find out that 98% of the Apollo photography has been tampered with by NASA. They've cut out certain areas of the moon's sky. They have erased or blurred a lot of the things that were captured on the moon. But the most impressive thing that I found out was in 2009 when I was making Moon Rising, which was a film dedicated to the moon anomalies, okay? After I did UFO, the Greatest Story of the United, I said, I got to do a whole movie just on the moon. It's amazing what they've done and what's there and blah, blah, blah. So I was looking for a shot in that film where we zoom from Earth, we leave Earth and we zoom up to the moon. And we arrive at the moon about 100 miles above the surface. So I contacted a lot of the special effects guys that worked on Star Trek and Battlestar and all these films and TV shows. Said, hey guys, where do you get these fantastic planets and moon replicas that I can use? And they said, go to mapaplanet.org. Every one of them said it. I go, so that's where you get Saturn and Jupiter and Mars and all that? They said, yeah, mapaplanet.org. Well, it turns out that mapaplanet.org is a United States Geological Survey website that has mapped all the planets. And what I mean by mapped, it's like when NASA goes over there and sends a probe, they film the moon, you know, in strips. You know, every rotation they film, and they lay out the whole surface of the moon as a flat photo. Now, when you take that flat photo and you wrap it around a sphere in your 3D CGI program, it now becomes the moon, an exact replica. Well, when I went there, and any one of your listeners can go there, go to mapaplanet.org. I'm going to type this into the chat room. Mapaplanet.org.
Mapaplanet.org.
Mapaplanet.org. Go there, and you're going to see right away all the planets and everything else. Click on the gray moon icon. It'll take you to a landing page where you see 10 different variations of moon photography. In the top row, in the dead center, it says natural color. Okay, click there. And I did that in 2009. And when I did, it totally changed my perspective on the moon forever. Now, here's a photo that was just uploaded.
Yeah.
It's a Doppelmayr. It's on the front side of the moon. And if you look closely in the big crater, there's a bright light. To its left, there's a tower. And you can see the number 2 on that tower. It's an amazing thing. And then on the lower right, there's another crater that seems to have a dome that's been broken. Pretty amazing stuff. But anyway, mapofplanet.org. Check it out, people.
Oh, that's great.
I went there and I downloaded 850 photos, which comprise the whole map of the moon in full color, taken by the Clementine mission in 1994. Full color photography of what the moon really looks like. Okay, so all these years they've been telling us that the moon is nothing but a gray and black and white orb that orbits around Earth, which is farther from the truth, man. It's a full color celestial body. And the reason they tell us that it's black and white is because in black and white you don't have any perspective, depth of perspective. In color, you see things the way we see things here on Earth. You see the depth of perception. You see clouds. You see smoke. You see things that are up there that otherwise in black and white would not be visible. So, and I have a movie called Celestial that, people go to tblnfilms.com.
tblnfilms.com.
Yeah, I have a membership website. And you can go over there as a free member and you can see some of my films for free. Or you can join as a gold member. And, that's how I make a living.
Yep, absolutely.
That's how I pay for my...
Bill was asking if you think those, Jose, if you think those disc-shaped objects were UFOs.
There's a shot.
Or craft, actually.
I feel that there are some UFOs captured, but I didn't include it in this batch. But you can see that.
Do you think there's a base up there?
Oh yeah, no, I have. My gosh, I have so much photography of what appear to be cities, gold mountains. I mean, there's so much stuff up there. When you see the stuff in the moon, I mean. Look at these two statue-looking things that look like an Egyptian. Side-by-side comparison. Those things are about 6 to 7 miles high, maybe taller. But they appear to be Egyptian statues, don't they? Maybe it's my perception.
Well, some kind of statue, You
can see the shoulder and arm.
Yeah, and the heads, and it looks like two people standing side by side.
Yeah, I mean, it resembles something. And when you look at the lay of the land of the whole photo in perspective, and you see how the lay of the land is, you go, wow, those are definitely upright statues or something, and they are huge.
And those are not lying down flat on the surface. They're standing up.
That's why I said when you look at the photo above that one, you see the lay of the land. You can see them there, and there's what looks like a big eye or something, but there's staircases. Statue 5. You can see where the statues are. There's just a lot of stuff in that one photo, and that's on the front side of the moon. And when you look at the blue orbs that are there, a lot of them look like they're hovering in midair.
And what would you think that would be?
I don't know. All
They're just there.
It's on the moon, and the evidence speaks for itself. I can't make stuff up. I mean, I can just advise on what I think is there in my perspective. But I mean,
you've looked at lots and lots and lots of footage, and you've taken a lot of footage yourself, so you do have a trained eye. So you are in pretty much of a position to give a good educated opinion. But I do have one question for you. We've got about 5 more minutes.
Okay.
And I better ask it before we run out of time. But have you ever had an encounter with an alien being or extraterrestrial being or some unknown being?
When I was living in Roswell, I woke up one morning, and you know how you're half awake and half asleep? You're just waking up, and you're kind of in that, like, I don't want to wake up. I don't want to wake up. And you open your eyes, and you go back to close your eyes, open your eyes. I remember waking up, and I see a white mantis-looking creature right over my face. I mean, at maybe 2 or 3 inches away from my face. It was a praying mantis, white, and it just kept looking at me. And I blinked, and it was gone. And I go, holy cow, don't go away. Let me film you, man. What's up? But it was like, it was like, geez, let me get the camera, man. Where'd you go? So I don't know.
It was just there, and then it wasn't. It just
in the blink of an eye, it was gone. But I opened my eyes, and it was looking
at
me. Did
you see it swoosh away, or did it just blink out?
No, it was right there in my face, and it was like as if you know how a doctor looks at you with his light thing on his forehead, and he's looking down at your face, and he's right 2 or 3 inches away from you. You could smell his breath. This thing was right in my face as I opened my eyes, and then I blinked, and it was gone. So it was like, man, come back.
It's like you almost caught it. Like it was looking at you while you were asleep, and it didn't expect you to wake up. And then, you woke up and it went, uh-oh, I better get out of here.
Yeah, man. And it's like, man, that sucks, man. Why didn't you hang around and, take a pose for me and let me film you? But that's one of the encounters I've had. There was another thing, too. Back in 1966.
What year was that before you go on? That was 66?
No, that was 1995 in Roswell.
Oh, okay. Well, perfect place. And then there was another one?
In 1966, me and my rock and roll band were coming out of Carlsbad, New Mexico, and we see this thing come out of the sky. It was a clear night sky, 3 a.m, coming out of Carlsbad. And this thing looked like a small private plane was going to crash. We all pulled down at the bottom of this hill, and this thing flew right over us. It was a big 30, 40-foot diameter object with lights flashing on its perimeter. It was so close to the ground, I jumped up and tried to touch the bottom of it. Okay? And then it went down in this hill, and I've done a reenactment of this in They Live in the Skies, of this experience that I had, because I had UFO encounters. And after that, when I started having the UFO experiences there in Roswell, filming them, I started having this recurring dream of me and my drummer's dad, and my bass player. They were pushing my drummer's dad, in a gurney, and I go, yeah, take him in that room. And then the next scene is I'm walking down this grated corridor, metal corridor, and to my right, there's what appears to be a wall with a cutout of the Ace of Spades, the Ace of Spades figure. And in there, there's these creatures, man, that I'm seeing, and I feel the presence of some tall individuals walking slightly behind me. I never look at them, but I'm saying, yeah, man, keep that one in there. I've seen that one before. You better keep him behind that, But I'm talking to these, and it's a recurring dream that I had 4 times while I was in Roswell. So I don't know if I was taken. I don't know if this really happened, but they come at you in dreams, as far as I know. And I haven't had any physical alien contact, like, shook hands with a guy and said, hey, I'll talk to you later. Let's have a beer. Hasn't been that way. It's been sort of like dreams, So that's my alien.
Wow.
Yeah, kind of bizarre.
Well, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, and it's vivid. I remember it. I remember it to the T, man. So who knows? Who knows where the host
Wow. Well, I think we can end on that note. That was, great to hear about your personal experiences. That's something you and I've never even discussed as many times as we've chatted. But I want to thank you, Jose Escamilla, for being my special guest tonight. And I want to thank everybody out there that was listening and that will be listening in the archives that can be found at InceptionRadioNetwork.com. And especially to those in the chat room who are loyal Inception Radio Network fans and friends. We love you, and join us next week. Another great show coming up.
I love you people there in the chat room, Renee.